So yeah, we can even loop back to just some of the stuff we were just talking about. So Raz and
Mhm.
from Nepal. And I know that you do we were talking kind of on Facebook about doing email and SMS, especially
Yeah.
for like ecom.
Mhm.
Um, and I do things like storytelling, profitability, the content side of things. So I thought we'd have just like some things in common, good conversation. I guess tell me, how did you were you always doing email and SMS, or like how did you even get into ecom?
So first of all, like when I started as a drop shipping. So I started as drop shipper. So like, so I was like a little bit successful. I lost a lot of money too. And what I saw was, like a lot of my stores were like, like even profitable because of email, right? Like
Mm.
SMS. I was not doing SMS back then, but like I was doing email. And like when I was like, analyzing things, I saw that, oh, my store are getting, being profitable from emails than just in the front end. It's like being profitable in the back end. So I started, searching for, courses related to email marketing, and got into courses of email marketing. And then after that, I thought, oh, this can be scalable. This can be, um, be as a business. And I was like struggling with, finding new products every time I was making a new store, and it was like too much work. And then I started email marketing, and then like I got some clients. At that time I was like just one person, doing everything alone. But now I have like team members and stuff. Before, like I was all alone. And work, or like, firstly when I started I was working mostly with dropshippers.
Mm-hmm.
But later on I transitioned into, brands, because like the dropshipping store are like temporary, like in my sense, because of the people I was working with. Because if I have like done this much work, for setting the flows and running the campaigns and understanding the brand, and later on there is no traffic on the front end, so flows from emails won't work. So I started
Mm-hmm.
focusing more on, working with brands than just drop shippers. And now it's good. So I'm scaling my agency also, right? So yeah, it's a thing now.
I love that. I was just thinking before we got on here about the like drop shipping versus brands and like sort of what the differences are, because there are overlaps, but it's true that I think the drop shipping model is less long-term viable. I mean, I'm sure there are definitely people who are doing it long-term viable, but it does cost a good amount of money. And you need to be constantly sort of obviously testing so many different things. And you have to do that in brands too. But I feel like when you're building a brand, your ability to um like really build something that has like emotion to it, that has some real story arc to it that you can use in email or SMS or even in ads and things like that is definitely different than in the dropship space.
Yeah.
um and I really like, so when you were doing your dropship before, like were you using Klaviyo as email already, or were you using
Um,
Mailchimp, or
um,
and
so
what do you
that time
use
I
now?
So that time when I was doing emails, I used to use Mailchimp
Yeah.
for my own store. But when I got into these email courses, like they said that, oh, Klaviyo is much better than Mailchimp. So I started, using Klaviyo, and yeah, it was like a lot better in the terms of user interface, and setting up automations, and the work is like a lot easier for me. So and for SMS, we don't use Klaviyo SMS. We use a different platform, maybe PostScript or SMS Bomb for SMS marketing.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I know like a bit about the SMS space, but honestly, I could learn way more about it. I remember when I like first met with a Klaviyo guy, or Klaviyo, however you pronounce it. I met with him and on the phone, and like I could not believe the usability. Like my mind was just, because I was a Facebook advertiser for a really long time, working in with ecom stores and other things like that. And when he was telling me about the segmentation and like about just all the different combinations you can make, I was like, this is a total game changer. Based on how you can interact with people. And like, I still see brands who are even doing 6 figures, 7 figures, well, maybe not 7 figures, but at the very least high 6 figures, who are like still only sending one bulk email. They're writing it from scratch. I was just on a call with the client yesterday who's like, I was asking them about their email stuff, and they're like, yeah, we do, like, we're writing them by hand still. They do over $100,000 a year, but like, they're writing it by hand. They're have one email goes out to everybody. There's no list segmentation. I'm like, wow, you could really be cleaning this up. And let me know how much you agree with this or what your thoughts are on this. But like, I think that back end nurturing is probably one of the best brand strategies you have for any company, because you don't have to pay. You've already paid to acquire them. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I don't know if you want to speak to any of that, like based on some of your client experiences and like kind of what you're seeing in email right now.
Mm-hmm. So on email side, like after the Google update, so they're like, now it's like on the email side, what I have seen on my client accounts are like the open rates are like going down, and so the performance as well. But we are like trying to push it, and we are getting like like above 20%, and like some clients are like dropping on performance, which has which clients has low AOVs. So that's the thing on email side for like just recently. On SMS side is like the same thing. So like there are like some clients we work with, so we only do SMS for them, and they don't want us to do email, because in the SMS side, like the open rate is like really high, because it's not like email, right? So right. Email can go to the promotional tab, right? But on the SMS, like they are just getting the SMS directly on their message. So yeah, so that's also one factor, but SMS is like a little expensive than emails too. So that's another factor too. So what we do is like so when we onboard a client, what we do is like, first of all, we set up the email flows. And then after that, we start the campaigns, and then we set up the SMS flows. And on the SMS campaign side, we only do on events, because like—
You only do what? Say that again. You only do on the SMS side?
So we only do emails, SMS on events, something like drop or,
right.
On the email side,
right. Events.
We can just like on the email side, we do something like content email as well, but on the SMS side we don't do that, because SMS, we try to get as much as sales from that particular SMS and get a good ROI. But on the email side, we try to engage with the customer and try to make the the, what we call that, just the overall, the process of the
customer experience or user experience.
Yeah, really good. So that's the main focus on the email side. And SMS side is like just on the SMS campaign is like just drops or events, that type of thing on SMS campaigns.
What do you think makes like a good email like for specifically a brand too, versus like a bad strategy, or like a good thing to do, even just one good thing to do and one bad thing to do? Because like in my opinion, I think like a bad thing to do is like always be pitching, as opposed to like, I'm all about how do you put stories out there? How do you make sure that you're not like sending emails? Like if you're a brand that believes, like if you look at a Patagonia, for instance, and they're super about the environment, it's like their emails need to be based about the environment. They should be sharing stuff like that, not just being like product. And do you have any thoughts on that, or what's like kind of your thoughts on like what's a bad thing to do versus a good thing to do?
So on the email side, so when I was like working with, so it was like way before. So when I was working with dropshipping store, like we were just, going to the flows, and we were just creating discount ladder strategy, like just giving discount and, the scarcities like that. But so that also like actually works. But if you want the user experience and, the customer for the long run, so for now, what we focus more on emails, we don't acquire customer as hey, we will generate you this much revenue or something. We try to encourage them as we will make content for you, will help your brand, like make your brand awareness much better on the email side, and also the designs, also the revenue as the whole thing. So we try to include like as much as content we can on the email flows as well, and also like discount as well, like, but like not always pitching, like just trying to give value to the customer and make them for longer time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How do you know, in your opinion, like when do you think a brand's ready for an email strategy? Like, is it a revenue line?
So you mean like ready when you
Yeah, like, are they like, how would someone know, like, okay, cool, we need to be doing email, like, because like when I speak to somebody and I'm getting a sense of their business, it's like if they're doing, at least $10,000 a month, if they are, you know, just like things like that. Like if I look at their back end, I'm like, you need to be doing email. I mean, most of the time I ask them if they're doing it and they say no. And I know that they've hit a certain level, especially a certain revenue level, and their profitability is suffering. I'm like, yo, you need to bring in an email strategy. So like what, in your thoughts, like, or even an SMS strategy, but like, what are some things that people should be looking for and know, like, okay, cool, if I'm at this level and I'm not sending segmented emails, or I'm not looking at email and SMS as like a way to increase my overall bottom line, how do people know when they're ready?
So in my perspective, I would say, like on the flow side, so the brand owner can just do a one-time flow setup. So like they have the add to cart, they have the content, they have the everything, right? So on the campaign side, like they need to have a good amount of list too, right? So if they don't have a proper list, like sending like campaigns are like not that much worth it, then like they have a list. So if like they are just a new brand, then I would say like just get the opt-in form, something like a pop-up or flyover or anything like that, and just give a small value, something like $5 off or like 10% discount or something like that, to just get the customer emails. And slowly and gradually the list will be like big, and you can just send emails like the campaigns from there. On the flow side, like if you're just starting a brand, like you can just set up the one-time flow setup too. It is not a big brainer for that.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. One thing I find people struggle with a lot is getting people to even opt into their lists, because it's like when that pop-up comes up, I see a lot of like, okay, 10% off, 15% off, for like join our list for updates. It's like, I feel like we're in a world right now where you've got to be so much more enticing than that. Like, and I think it varies brand to brand, like what that should be, like what should be the pop-up. And then I guess the other thing too is like, should it be right when people get on the site, or should there be a time delay? Like, do you see any differences in those? Like when people are like, we need to build this list, like what kind of stuff could they even be putting in there?
Like on the pop-up side, what we do is like, first we try to ask the data if they have already set up an email. So I will ask them for a brand owner. So we'll ask them, hey, like they will know the data, right? Like what was working really good before, what offer was really working good before, and they will say this. So we'll try to okay, let's say they say like 10% off, right? So we'll just create a pop-up of 10% off, and we will just A/B test. There's like no golden rule for a brand like that. So we need to like find out by testing. Like some brand are like, for some brands like 3 seconds 10% off works really well. For some brands 40 seconds and $10 off works really well. So there's like no golden thing like that, but I like, it's like just testing and
agreed. Yeah. I think it's like, and then find, if you can give something away, I find that that's really good too. Like, obviously giving away, if you're giving away a discount, you're giving that away too. But, giving, I find it's like, if people, again, saying like just sign up for updates doesn't really work well, because people don't understand like what updates they're getting. Like,
Yeah.
so being more specific and trying to make it like, get updates about this thing, or like join this list for all this stuff that for sure that people would be into. I'm also like, as a storytelling guy too, I'm really about brands, saying things that not any other brand could say. Like, I was working with a client the other day and he wrote something and I was like, the only problem with this statement is that any brand could shift out the name and say the exact same thing. The sort of like updates, or for quality products, or any of those things. It's like there's nothing really unique there. And I think that in an email strategy and SMS too, like, the more unique you can be, and the more like, only we could really say this in this way, the more likely people are to be like, to want to participate,
Yeah.
want to opt
Yeah.
in, do all that stuff. Yeah. A couple more things. Yeah, go.
This comes to the value, giving a value.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on add to cart recoups? Like, have you seen it change over the last number of years? What works, what doesn't work?
Like, I'm not like, so what we do is like, we set up like 3 add to cart. So one is like abundant cart, one is one is abundant cart, one is just add to cart. Like, it's when a customer goes to the checkout, so that's abundant checkout. So and the another one is like abundant cart. So if we already have their email list, so when they go to the site and add it to cart and not go to the checkout page, so we send like 2 emails on that site. So I would say, like, I have not seen any like much difference, because I'm like just doing this agency from like 2 years. So like in 2 years, like there is no like big shift. Only like the after this Google update, like so a lot of the emails are going to spam and like spam. So it has affected like the open rates and other stuff, but overall it's good for like, yeah.
Yeah, dope. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's one of the trickier ones too, like that people need more than one email with abandoned cart. Also, I think telling your story more, like telling the brand story before just jumping into a discount, like, oh, here's 15% off for the thing that's in your cart. It's like, educate them, like, assume that they don't know very much about the brand, and about what you're doing. And then when people do add to cart, the next thing that they could see is like, hey, yeah, like maybe they send them your about us. They may have not even looked at that yet. So I think there's a way to like build that relationship.
Giving the best thing which a brand can do on the email is like giving, like having more and more content on that. Okay, like what the brand stands for.
Yeah. And lastly, I just want to go back to something you said really early on about back end versus front end profitability, because that's something that I'm really interested in. Do you want to just explain a little bit more about kind of what you meant by that, or like what that
so like
experience?
For that, like, I mean, like, so at the front end, like there are like Facebook ads, Google ads, and Instagram, and like Snapchat or anything like that, paid advertisement. So like what I have seen with like my customers are like many of them, like even brands, like they are like not profitable on the front end. Like they are like suffering with high CPMs, and the cost of acquisition is like a lot higher than what it used to be before. So so I'm working with some brands like which used to do 500K 600K per month. Now like they're just doing like 20-30K per month. So because of that, so that's why, like, with the email marketing side, so when we set up the email marketing on email and SMS, like their AOV like increases a lot without like than what it used to be without the any email marketing or SMS marketing. So
you think, yeah, how come average order value goes up? Just because people are buying more stuff, or because they
because so on the email side, like on the advertisement side, so we have like cost for the acquisition, right? Like so there's like a cost for um the cost for purchase, but
Yeah.
on the email side, like the ROAS, the return on ad spend, like the money spent, I would say, it's like a lot higher because the sales from emails are a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on the overall side, like the AOV increases from there.
Right. And it's like, I agree that there's a lot of brands that are down to lose money on the front end. Sometimes you just have to. I mean, but you do need a recoup strategy. You need to either launch more stuff, you need to pair more upsells, you need to increase items per checkout, you need to build longer relationships. I mean, they say you really only have three choices, right? It's either you can raise prices. You can raise prices, you can have people buy more stuff, and you can have them buy more things more often. And those are really your only three strategies, especially obviously if you're spending money on the front end. But I think organic is underused, honestly, by brands. Like, I think that they do need to go hand in hand, because sometimes, like, especially in today's world with all the different content, like if you're making stuff that people want to watch and is worth sharing, it's like that's eyes that you didn't have to pay for.
Yeah, 100%.
With ads and stuff like that. But yeah, dope. This was really awesome, dude. I really appreciate it. I'll link any of your stuff in the bottom too. And yeah, I got some client work I'll send your way for sure.
Thank you. It was good talking to you too.
Awesome.